Welcome back to the channel. You asked for it, and I aim to deliver. Yes, I got a lot of requests to cover more cheap physical games for the Switch, so I've assembled yet another set for you to check out. I have 10 games in total on this list, 8 brand new to the series, plus 2 returning ones that are far cheaper than they were when I covered them on the channel many months ago. If you're looking to flesh out your collection on the cheap, you are in the right place. So hang on, make sure to subscribe to the channel as I tell you about some awesome cheap physical Switch games. Wonderful 101 Remastered sees the Platinum Games gem from the Wii U arrive on the Switch platform, allowing more people than ever to give it a go. In this game, you take control of a horde of superheroes that can unite into various objects called Unite Morphs. As you progress each level, you'll save citizens as well as recruit more heroes to your group. Being a Platinum Games game, that means it has heavy focus on action, and plenty of action is what you'll get. It's a fun game, has a bit of a difficulty curve, but is a blast to play, and feels right at home on the Switch, including some features that are a Switch exclusive. It's cheap physically on the Switch, with new copies going for around $20 and used for much less at $13. Speaking of these prices, if you didn't see the last video giving an explanation on the guidelines for cheap physical games on these lists, I'll give you a quick rundown. Every game on this list can be had for new or used for $25 or less, and this is based on averages from PriceCharting.com and my own personal experiences. Used in this case means the game in case, aka complete in box. Sounds good? Got it? Awesome! Let's move on with the list. The RPG about being a shark. Yes, a shark PG. That is what Maneater is, and it is a lot of fun as you get to be a shark whose goal is to get bigger and bigger. In doing so, you have to eat everything in sight, and yes, that includes people. Along the way, you'll need to take down evil dudes trying to hunt you down. You'll earn upgrades and even evolve different mutations to become the ultimate shark beast. It isn't a long game. It's roughly around 10 to 15 hours tops to complete, but for something of this nature, it's the perfect length as it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's cheap to get as a physical on the Switch. You can get it for around $20 new and used for around $15. Just be careful about this one. I do see some places charging way more than that, so just be patient and you'll score it for cheap. Saints Row the Third is my favorite entry in the whole series. It's over-the-top nonsense, and the commitment to it, with fun gameplay, and the ability to nearly play the whole thing in co-op multiplayer online, makes it an easy recommendation. I think I've owned the game in some shape or form on 4 different platforms, with the Switch version being my 4th version. And it might be my fave just because I can take it on the go. Now, the Switch entry did receive some patches to improve performance, so do keep that in mind, Switch collectors, in case that bothers you. But hey, a lot of open world games on the Switch do get updates. That said, physical copies are cheap to get for the system. You can have it for about $22 new, often for less, while used copies are around $17 or so. I like game collections on the Switch, and this next one is a nice physical release that contains a collection plus an additional game on one cart. Namco Museum Arcade Pack has the Switch version of Namco Museum that has arcade classics like Pac-Man, Galaga, and Splatterhouse. It also has Pac-Man Champion Edition 2 Plus, which is an updated version of the game that has an exclusive Switch mode. It's a super bundle of sorts. And to get these games on digital, you're going to have to get them separate, and you'll end up spending more in the long run overall. Instead, get it physically, because it is cheap, and for collectors, this is a Switch exclusive. New copies can be had for around $24, often for less, while used copies can be had for around $18. This next one is one of 2 revisiting games from previous videos in the series. Immortals Fenyx Rising is a great pickup, especially now for those who are needing a Zelda fix to hold them over until Tears of the Kingdom comes out. While it definitely takes some inspiration from Breath of the Wild, being an open world game with many dungeons to explore and such. It definitely has its own style too. What I love about the game is the verticality, and that there's so many nooks and crannies to explore. Its in-game world is very well designed and fun to explore. The gameplay is really solid too, with many upgrades to earn. Fenyx can become a beast of sorts, laying the smackdown to all that oppose them. It's a fun game, and while the other versions can be prettier, it feels very much at home being on the Switch platform. It's super cheap to get to. It can be had for around $17 new, and used for around $15. Pick this up. It's a good game, and one of the better open world games on the platform. Puyo Tetris 2 brings more great puzzle goodness to the Switch, with the ability to play Puyo or Tetris, or a mixture of both gameplay types at the same time. This game introduces new character-based skills and item cards to spice up gameplay, as well as an improved online mode and an all-new story mode. Just like the first entry, if you're looking for a good puzzler with lots of value, this is a perfect pickup for the system. While the first entry has been cheap to find for the Switch for a long while now, the second entry this year has dropped to near equal value and can be had for around $18 new, with a little less for a used copy. If you like retro games and are a collector of Switch games, then this next one is a must-own for the platform. Collection of Mana is a collection of the first 3 Mana games in the series. You have Final Fantasy Adventure, which is also known as Mystic Crest, a Game Boy game. It's a simple adventure, but it's nice that they include it. The second game in the collection is Secret of Mana, one of the best Super Nintendo action RPGs of all time. But the shining jewel of this collection is an official English version of Seiken Densetsu 3, now known as Trials of Mana. As good as Secret of Mana is, the third game is even better, and for the longest time I never thought Square Enix would actually go through the trouble and translate the game. It was one of the greatest games we never got, and finally it's here for everyone to enjoy, and it's all together on a single cartridge. It blows my mind. Best of all too, it's cheap to get. A new copy will run you around $21, and a used copy is around $19. Pick this up. I have a feeling this one will be a collector's item one day. My Hero 1's Justice is a 3D fighting game based on the manga My Hero Academia. Now I'll be honest, I know very little about the manga and the anime, but I will say that I do find this brawler to be a lot of fun. It's not the most complex fighting game, but I love how fast-paced the action is, and I really like it when the battles take to the air and have characters fighting on the sides of buildings and such. It feels very much like how an anime-style fight should be like in a video game. It's got a story mode to go through that has you using most of the roster and unlockables to design your characters and such, plus a decent amount of modes. This is a really cheap game to get for the Switch. A new copy can be had for around $18, but used can be had for around $13, and often for less than $10. You can't really argue against a Switch game that can be had for that cheap and is as fun as this one is. RPGs fare right at home on the Switch, and the Switch is home to quite a few of these. Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, is definitely a major one for the console, and the Switch version is a pretty darn good port. It's pretty comparable to the PS4 version. It's a remastered version of the PS2 Classic with HD visuals and textures with numerous additions and improvements that sees it being one of the best ways to enjoy the game. You can nab it for cheap too. A new copy can be had for around $24, while used can be had for just under $20. That's a fantastic entry in the series, and it's definitely a must-own for RPG or JRPG fans. The second of 2 revisiting games sees Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle capping off today's list. This game from Ubisoft sees the world of Super Mario get combined with the Rabbids in an XCOM-like game. That means this is a turn-based tactics-style action-adventure game. Actually works out quite well. It ends up being a lot of fun. You'll need to assemble your team of characters as you explore each area, and often ending up in parts where you'll need to strategically fight your way through using each character's different skills and abilities. It is challenging at times, but luckily nowhere near as brutal as the XCOM series is. This one is dirt cheap to get, It can be had for around $15 new, and used can be found for around $12. That's an excellent price for a game that might as well be considered a first-party Nintendo game in terms of quality. And there you go, that's some physical Switch games for you to check out. I love gaming on the Switch, and I really love how cheap physical games are getting for the system. If you're just getting a Switch, or looking to expand your physical collection, now is a good time as ever to do so with the ever-expanding library of cheap games. If you're new to the channel, or missed past videos, then make sure to check out the brand new cheap physical games playlist. I'll have links to that on my channel homepage, as well as in the description box and in the comments down below. If you like digital games, you're really in luck, as I have a ever-expanding series of videos that takes a look at the latest deals on the eShop each and every week. I'll have a link to that playlist as well in the description box and in the comments for you to check out later. With that said, make sure to give this a thumbs up if you like it, and consider subscribing if you haven't. Of course, I look at Switch deals both digital and physical, but I also do game reviews, top 10s, tips and tricks, and more each and every week on this channel. You definitely don't want to miss a single video. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.
Thank you.